Imagine spending years learning to fight aboard a warship, only to receive an order no sailor expects. Sink your own ship. Not because the enemy had already destroyed it, but because letting them capture it could be considered far more dangerous than surrender. Across Europe, 6 remarkable warships met that fate, deliberately destroyed by the very crews who had once fought to save them. Our first story begins with Vasilefs Georgios, one of Greece's most modern destroyers, commissioned in 1939 as Europe moved toward war. Built in Scotland for the Royal Hellenic Navy, she became flagship of Greece's destroyer force and entered combat during the Greco-Italian War. She escorted convoys, hunted Italian shipping in the Adriatic, and survived the opening campaigns before Germany invaded Greece during April 1941. On April 14th, German aircraft attacked while Vasilefs Georgios lay near Sophiko Bay, damaging the destroyer badly enough to force withdrawal. Her captain managed to bring the wounded ship back to Salamis, where workers placed her inside a floating dock for urgent repairs. But German forces were advancing too quickly, and there was no longer enough time to restore the destroyer before the base fell. So the Greeks decided their own warship could not be captured intact, preparing to sink Vasilefs Georgios before the Germans arrived. The crew scuttled Vasilefs Georgios before withdrawing, but the story twisted again when German forces later raised and repaired the destroyer. Before we continue, subscribe to Sunken Inside and join us as we uncover more warships deliberately destroyed by the sailors aboard them. That brings us north to Norway, where German destroyer Wolfgang Zenker entered Narvik during the dramatic opening days of Operation Weserübung. She was one of 10 German destroyers carrying troops toward Narvik, a strategically important Norwegian port far inside the Arctic Circle. After landing soldiers near Fjord, Wolfgang Zenker remained trapped around Narvik as British warships moved quickly to challenge the German force. On April 10th, British destroyers struck unexpectedly, beginning a brutal naval battle that left several German ships damaged, sunk, or nearly stranded. That night, Wolfgang Zenker attempted to break out with Erich Giese, but powerful British forces guarding the exit forced both ships back. 3 days later, HMS Warspite and 9 British destroyers entered the fjords, bringing overwhelming firepower against the remaining German ships inside Narvik. Wolfgang Zenker fought while ammunition and fuel disappeared rapidly, then withdrew deeper into Rombaksfjord as the surviving German destroyers faced destruction. With escape impossible and little ammunition remaining, her crew abandoned the destroyer and deliberately scuttled Wolfgang Zenker inside the narrow Norwegian fjord. She never returned to battle, becoming one of several German destroyers sacrificed there after fuel and ammunition ran out around Narvik. The next warship was destroyed for a different reason, because Britain intended HMS Vindictive to become a weapon after she stopped fighting. Vindictive was a British cruiser that had already survived savage fighting at Zeebrugge in April 1918, leaving her superstructure badly damaged afterward. Instead of repairing her for service, the Royal Navy converted the battered cruiser into a block ship for another attack on occupied Belgium. Her new mission targeted Ostend, where German submarines used canal access to reach the sea, making the harbor strategically dangerous for Britain. On May 9th, Vindictive sailed toward Ostend loaded with cement, but thick fog and removed navigation buoys made finding the entrance difficult. When the cruiser reached the canal, German batteries opened fire, killing Commander Alfred Godsall and damaging machinery needed for the final turn. Unable to swing fully across the channel, Vindictive grounded near the entrance, where her crew detonated charges and abandoned the sinking cruiser. The wreck failed to seal Ostend completely, yet Britain had deliberately sacrificed an entire warship simply to obstruct Germany's submarine route there. Vindictive had become a weapon by being destroyed. But another European navy would soon sacrifice something far larger than one battered cruiser. That next story unfolded at Toulon, France, where the powerful battleship Strasbourg served as flagship of Admiral Jean de Laborde's naval force. After Allied landings in November 1942, Germany occupied southern Vichy France and moved quickly to seize the powerful French fleet at Toulon. French commanders had long prepared for that possibility, determined that their warships would never be handed intact to either Germany or Italy. Before dawn on November 27th, German armored units entered Toulon, racing toward the arsenal before French sailors could destroy their own ships. The warning reached Admiral de Laborde aboard Strasbourg, and at roughly 5:25, he transmitted the order that unleashed the planned scuttling. Across the harbor, crews opened sea valves, smashed sensitive equipment, prepared explosives, and evacuated while German soldiers rushed toward the moored fleet. Strasbourg's own seacocks were opened as demolition teams destroyed weapons and machinery, causing the huge flagship to settle onto Toulon's harbor bottom. German officers arrived demanding surrender, but de Laborde could effectively answer that the ship they wanted was already being destroyed beneath them. By the end, most of Toulon's warships had been scuttled, denying Germany the intact French battle fleet it had rushed to capture. Yet even that spectacular destruction was surpassed by an earlier act in Scotland, where Germany's defeated fleet waited together inside Scapa Flow. Among those interned ships was SMS Hindenburg, Germany's newest battlecruiser, completed too late for major combat, but still representing enormous naval power. After the armistice, Hindenburg crossed to Scapa Flow with the High Seas Fleet, while British forces kept the German ships under watch. Months passed while peace negotiations continued, but Rear Admiral Ludwig von Reuter feared the Allies would eventually seize every interned German warship. Secret instructions therefore moved between the ships, ordering crews to prepare valves, doors, hatches, and openings so seawater could enter rapidly. On June 21, 1919, von Reuter finally sent the signal, and German sailors across Scapa Flow began sinking their own fleet. Aboard Hindenburg, the crew opened the prepared flooding routes and abandoned ship as seawater steadily overwhelmed the enormous battlecruiser from inside. British forces rushed back and tried grounding several vessels, but Hindenburg settled onto the bottom before they could prevent her deliberate destruction. Her masts and upper structures remained above water, becoming a haunting marker of a fleet destroyed by its own sailors within hours. But Hindenburg was only part of the spectacle, because nearby SMS Bayern represented something even more formidable among Germany's interned battleships there. Bayern carried 8 15-inch guns and represented Germany's newest generation of battleships, built to challenge the strongest capital ships afloat. She entered service in 1916, later struck a mine during Operation Albion, and ended the war interned with Germany's defeated fleet. When the scuttling signal spread, Bayern's reduced German crew opened the prepared flooding systems and began abandoning their enormous battleship at anchor. Water poured inside while sailors escaped in boats, leaving Bayern lower by the stern as British crews finally understood what was happening. By 2 o'clock that afternoon, photographs captured Bayern sinking stern first, her massive hull disappearing while coordinated destruction continued across the anchorage. British sailors managed to beach several German vessels, but Bayern sank completely, joining battleships, cruisers, and destroyers already disappearing across Scapa Flow. Most of the interned fleet ultimately went down, turning one secret command into an extraordinary act of deliberate naval destruction across Europe. Bayern remained underwater until 1934, when salvage teams raised her. But the operation did not return part of the battleship to surface. During the lift, 4 massive gun turrets fell free and remained on the seabed, leaving pieces of Bayern in Scapa Flow today. Together, these 6 stories reveal how crews sometimes chose destruction over capture, sacrifice over surrender, and denial over preserving their own warships. For more forgotten warships and naval disasters, subscribe to Sunken Inside and join us as we uncover another story beneath European waters.